Top Accolade Global News Updates. I am Soibifa Jackridge. China's military on Monday said a U.S. Navy ship illegally entered waters adjacent to the Second Thomas Shoal, a disputed South China Sea atoll that has recently seen several maritime confrontations. China is in dispute with several of its neighbors over its extensive claims of territorial waters in the South China Sea. The U.S. Navy said the USS Gabrielle Giffords, an Independence-class littoral combat ship, was conducting routine operations in international waters in the South China Sea. Consistent with international law, every day the U.S. 7th Fleet operates in the South China Sea as they have for decades. The U.S. Navy said in a statement, "These operations demonstrate we are committed to upholding a free and open Indo-Pacific region." In recent months, China has had several run-ins with Philippine vessels and protested about U.S. ships patrolling disputed areas. According to the Chinese military, the U.S. ship moved into waters adjacent to what China calls the Rainier Reef, also known as Second Thomas Shoal, a part of the Spratly Islands. The Second Thomas Shoal lies in the Philippines' exclusive economic zone. According to a United Nations tribunal ruling in 2016, the Chinese military spokesperson said the U.S. ship was monitored and followed, and the China's troops in the theater are on high alert at all times to resolutely defend national sovereignty. On Sunday, the Philippine Coast Guard deployed two of its vessels in the South China Sea after monitoring an alarming increase in the number of Chinese maritime militia vessels at a reef within the country's exclusive economic zone. Toyota Motors said on Monday it would increase its lineup of battery electric vehicles in Europe to 6 models by 2026, and it expected such vehicles to make up more than 20% of new car sales in the region by then. The world's largest automaker by sales said in a statement it expected to sell more than 250,000 battery-powered vehicles annually in Europe by 2026, as it seeks steep growth in a market where it has long been overtaken by rivals. On top of battery EV, the company is currently selling in Europe and compact sports utility vehicle SUV concepts it already showcased last year. Toyota unveiled 2 new concepts for models that it planned to sell in the region later this decade. One was a concept model for a battery-powered small SUV that it planned to launch in Europe in 2024, and the other was a concept for a sports crossover model that is scheduled for introduction in 2025. Toyota is targeting sales of 1.5 million battery-powered vehicles a year globally by 2026. Toyota had the 5th biggest total auto market share in the EU for the 10 months through October, seeing its share decline slightly from the previous year to just under 7%, the data showed. Battery-powered vehicles accounted for 1% of Toyota's worldwide sales of about 8.5 million vehicles over the first 10 months of the year, including those of its luxury Lexus brand. Toyota also said it would set up a business unit focusing on hydrogen in Europe as it seeks to commercialize the technology by developing fuel cell systems and supporting commercial partnerships for it. The announcement came after Toyota executives said in July the company would focus on selling hydrogen-powered trucks and cars in Europe and China. A hydrogen fuel cell vehicle uses an electric motor like an EV but draws power from a fuel stack where hydrogen is separated by a catalyst to produce electricity. Toyota sold about 3,500 fuel cell vehicles globally over the January to October period. Bitcoin has broken above $40,000 for the first time since May 2022 as it rides a wave of momentum on broad enthusiasm about U.S. interest rate cuts and as traders bet on the imminent approval of U.S. stock markets traded Bitcoin funds. The world's biggest cryptocurrency hit as high as $41,748 on Monday, its highest since April 2022, seemingly casting off the funk that that had settled over crypto markets following the collapse of FTX and other crypto businesses' failures last year. It was last up 4% at $41,627. Its 50% rally since mid-October has seemed to mark a decisive shift away from the bearishness of 2022 and early 2023, said Justin D. Anentan, head of business development for Asia Pacific at KeyRock, a digital asset market making firm. Bitcoin is up by over 150% so far this year. Bitcoin investor MicroStrategy last week disclosed it bought an additional $593 million in Bitcoin during November. Meanwhile, riskier investments and other interest rate sensitive assets such as gold have also rallied hard over the last few weeks as markets wager that the US Federal Reserve has finished hiking rates and will start cutting early in 2024. Investors have also welcomed the settlement of a years-long US criminal probe into Binance, the world's largest crypto exchange and a key cog in the worldwide crypto markets. The deal, which saw Binance founder Changpeng Zhao step down after pleading guilty to breaking US anti-money laundering laws, allows the company to continue operating. Both Bitcoin and Ether remain far below their record high, hit in 2021 of $69,000 and $4,868 respectively. Music streaming giant Spotify said on Monday that it will lay off around 1,500 employees, or 17% of its headcount, to bring down costs after letting 600 of its staff go in January and 200 more in June. After a round of job cuts at the start of the year by tech companies, some have begun reducing their workforce again, with announcements coming from Amazon to Microsoft-owned LinkedIn. In a letter of employees, Spotify CEO Daniel Ek said the company hired more in 2020 and 2021 due to the lower cost of capital, and while its output has increased, much of it was linked to having more resources. In the third quarter, the company swung to a profit, aided by price hikes in its streaming services and growth in subscribers in all regions, and the company forecast that its number of monthly listeners would reach 601 million in the holiday quarter. We debated making smaller reductions throughout 2024 and 2025, X said. Yet, considering the gap between our financial goal state and our current operational costs, I decided that a substantial action to right-size our costs was the best option to accomplish our objectives. Temperatures in parts of Siberia plummeted to minus 50 degrees Celsius, that is minus 58 degrees Fahrenheit, while blizzards blanketed Moscow in record snowfall and disrupted flights as winter weather swept across Russia. In the Sakha Republic, located in the northeastern part of Siberia and home to Yakutsk, one of the world's coldest cities, temperatures fell below minus 50 Celsius, according to the region's weather stations. An abnormally area cold snap in Sakha pushed temperatures to even lower than minus 50 Celsius. In several areas of Sakha, a vast region just a little smaller than India, almost all of Sakha is located in the permafrost zone in the region's capital, Yakutsk, which lies some 5,000 kilometers, that is 3,100 miles east of Moscow. The temperature was around minus 44 Celsius to minus 48 Celsius. Temperatures of minus 50 Celsius have become less common in recent years because of climate change, with permafrost showing increasing signs of thawing. In the Russian capital, some of the biggest snowfalls ever seen caused delays at some airports on Monday, with runways covered in thick snow. At least 54 flights were delayed and 5 more were cancelled at the capital's 3 largest airports, the RIA news agency reported. Temperatures in Moscow were forecast to fall to about minus 18 Celsius later this week. That is the size of top accolade global news updates. You can follow us on our social media platforms as displayed on your screen. Happy Monday.